All right, so we are on chapter 25. We have, let's see, like 35 or so pages. So I'll do a few more in this video and then I will try and get this wrapped up tomorrow. If not, then we'll do maybe like one or two small chapters on Friday and that'll be that. All right, so he just did the 12th worm. So only 3 more worms. Pearl Harbor. The car slid quietly to a stop under the streetlight outside of Billy's house. Shh, whispered Alan to his father. Billy's asleep. His father glanced back at Billy, snoring peacefully in the back seat, his plump cheeks sticky with orange soda. Alan, run up to the house and tell him I'm bringing Billy in. Billy... Billy's father met them at the door, and taking Billy, whispered his thanks. Alan and his father went down the walk. Behind the porch, the light clicked off. In the back seat, Joe and Alan rustled gleefully. We did it! We won! He'll never wake up now. Alan struggled out of Joe's grip and asked his father what time it was. Late. It's almost midnight, I think. Joe pulled Alan's head down and tried to sit on it. He couldn't do it now even if he woke up. How could he find and cook and eat a worm in the dark? We've won. But, slumped in the bathroom stool, his mother holding up his chin while she washed his face, Billy was waking up. Hold still, dear. Did you have a good time? You're certainly home late. Is this part of the winning the bet? Billy's eyes blinked sleepily. He had a gnawing feeling he had forgotten something. He hiccuped, gazing dopily at the blue fuzzy bath mat, yawned. He'd remembered in the morning. It couldn't be that and bet. He hadn't won yet. There were still 3 to go. 15 worms. Today, Mom, I haven't eaten my worm today. Suddenly it all came back to him. The whole trip, the candy bars, the hot dogs, hamburgers, the popcorn. What time is it? It's 11:45. So he's got 15 minutes to get this worm. It was a trick. He snatched his pants off the floor. They were trying to make me forget. He tumbled and slid downstairs, through the dining room, his shirt tail flying, yanked open the drawer in the kitchen table, snatched out a flashlight, the drawer spilling out with a clatter and crash onto the floor, and slammed out the back door. The Finks! He scuttled across the backfield toward Tom's house, searching the ground with the flashlight. There, darn a stick. Gee, suppose I can't find one. There won't be time to cook it. No ketchup? I bet Tom wasn't sick at all. He ran on. The night was moonless and close. He paused to heave over a rotten log in the high dewy grass, and all of a sudden wrestling with a pup tent. Muffled grunts and thrashings. Tom, it's me, Billy. They're trying to trick us. Tom and his younger brother crawled out from under the pup tent. It was a trick. Alan and Joe were trying to make me forget. 15 worms in 15 days, and if I don't eat one in the next 10 minutes, Alan will say he's won, and it's almost midnight. And they left me home so I wouldn't remind you? Have you got a worm? Well, we'll have to find one. Tom dug into the pup tent and came up with 2 flashlights, and they zigzagged back and forth. I got one, cried Pete. Shh, I'll have to eat it raw, Billy said. Oh. Wait, whispered Tom, grabbing his arm. You should do it where Alan and Joe can see you. Pete, run and get your siren out of the garage. Under the streetlight of the front of Alan's house, Tom and Pete knelt over the siren. Billy stood beside them, the night crawler squirming in his fingers. Now, wait till lots of lights come on all over in all the houses and then chomp it down. Ready? Pete, now. The siren growled. I think it's one of those that winds up and it makes lots of noise. Ooh. The siren growled, winding up slowly and up until it screeched across the sleeping neighborhood, sending birds squawking and chirping into the air from trees and rooftops. Dogs began to bark. Windows lit up. There were confused shouts and bangs of windows slamming. Ladies and gentlemen, shouted Tom. Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara, through their finkiness and cheating and their lies and dirty... Come on, muttered Billy, his head thrown back, dangling the worm over his open mouth. We haven't gotten much time. Alan Phelps and Joseph O'Hara have forced us to wake all of you up so that you may now witness the eating of the 13th worm. He dropped to his knees. The siren wound slowly up to a screech. Billy dropped the crawler into his mouth and he chewed furiously. His eyes closed. He fell to his knees, still chewing. His face was turning beet red. He toppled over on his side, is still chewing, rolled and writhed about the sidewalk, clutching his stomach, still chewing. Pete and Tom kneeling by the streetlight, working the screaming siren. Nasty. Billy threw open his arms and lay still on his back under the glare of the streetlight, his mouth wide open. Ta-da! Announced Tom, springing up and pointing to Billy. The three boys ran off into the darkness. As they went, Tom yelled, "Remember, Alan and Joseph." Goodness. A confused murmur arose up and down the street. Suddenly, a boy shouted from the Phelps house, "Finks!" Alan's father dragged him back from the window. "Is that why you were stuffing Billy with candy and junk all day?" "Leave me alone. Yeah, we were trying to trick him. The Finks." "Quiet." His father sat him down hard in a chair. Joe peered out through the fringe of the bedspread. As soon as he had heard the siren and Tom's yells, he had crawled under the bed. "And this is why Billy woke up the whole neighborhood, just to show you that he had been tricked?" "Yes." His father let go of Alan's pajama collar. In the doorway, Alan's mother threw up her hands and went off to the bathroom to take 2 aspirin. The next day, Alan and Joe tramped from house to house in the neighborhood, knocking on each door, and then reciting the scores. Oh my. So the 2 boys that caused all of that trouble, the ones that took Billy to the baseball game, trying to get him to forget. "Hello, we're Alan and Joseph. We're the reason you were waked up in the middle of the night last night, and we're sorry." Breath. "You'll be happy to know our parents have punished us. We can't look at television or have any dessert for a month, and our allowances have been taken away for 2 weeks, and we promise that this will never happen again." "At least not in this neighborhood," muttered Joe as the last door closed behind them. "And Alan," said his father at dinner that night, "I don't want to hear that there have been any repetition of this incident at Billy or Tom's house anywhere else. Do you understand?" "But we can't let him get away with it, Mr. Phelps." "I don't think Dad knows about the $50. "There will be no repetitions of this incident or anything like it," repeated Mr. Phelps. "You tried to trick Billy and lost, and that will be the end of this matter." Next chapter. "You know what you are," said Alan, his nose almost touching Billy's. "You're a fink." What is a fink? F-I-N-K is how it's spelled. "And you're another," sneered Billy through clenched teeth. "And a cheating, lying, dirty, snot-nosed, cheating, lying one. If you say 2 or more words, you know what? I'm going to beat your head in." World. "I'm right behind you," muttered Tom, peering over Billy's shoulder with his fist clenched. "Yeah, so what? We can lick both of you with our hands tied behind our backs and paper bags over our heads." "Well, you couldn't lick a flea." I hope none of y'all listening to this fight like this. This is silly. This entire next page, I'm just going to leave it here for you to look at. It's them fighting, it sounds like. Okay. Basically, it looks like these knuckleheads are fighting. Tom and Billy untangled and sat up, bruised, scratched, dusty, shirts torn, and hair tousled. Tom's nose was bleeding. Billy's shoe had come off. "Yeah," sassed Alan and Joe from behind the tree. Billy started to shake his fist and clambered up, and then he sank back. Billy panted beside him, bleary-eyed. "Are y'all all worn out? Can't fight anymore?" Alan scooped up a handful of mud and flung it at Tom and Billy, and then Joe did the same. Billy and Tom scrambled up and pelted back. Mud splattered against trees, bushes. Alan began to cry. A rock hit Billy over the eye. He sat back in the mud, covering his head with his arms, and sobbed. Joe and Tom stopped throwing. Joe grabbed Alan. "Come on. Let me see, Billy. Is it bad? Take your arms away. Come on. I'll take you home. Your mom can take you to the doctor." Alan and Joe sat on the sofa, Tom and Billy on 2 straight chairs opposite them. "Now," Alan's father said, "what's all this about?" This is not going to be good. "All right," said Alan's father after a while. "That's enough. Now we know it's got something to do with this bet that Alan and Billy made, but Mr. O'Hare and I aren't going to get involved with that. You have to settle this amongst yourselves. You 4 boys have been friends for too long to start fighting now. You really hurt each other. Look at yourselves. Your faces are all bruised and muddy. Talk it over. Work things out. And then y'all can shake and be friends again. I couldn't be friends with those rats, Joe muttered. We'll be out in the kitchen, said Alan's father, and when you've settled it, call us and we'll all go down to get some ice cream. It wasn't us that scratched Tom. Billy did it. Did you have stitches? Billy asked Alan. No, did you? You tried to cheat, said Billy. That wasn't cheating. We were just trying to trick you. Yeah, but before that, when you glued the 2 worms together, that was cheating. Would have cheated too if you'd have been losing. You would have cheated too if you'd been losing. There we go. Okay, but look, no more cheating. I've already eaten 13 worms. You know I can eat 2 more. Heck, if I buy George Cunningham's brother's mini bike, we can all use it and we'll have fun with it. All right, you win, he wins, Alan. Yeah, but what's the use, said Joe. We've tried everything out and I'm sick of it. We've done nothing else for 2 weeks. Yeah, but come on. At least we'll get a milkshake out of it. All right, chapter 31. Billy lifted the worm out of the frying pan with the cooking tongs and curled it back and forth on his peanut butter sandwich. Worm and peanut butter. I bet they try something, he said. Joe won't give up. Alan might, but Joe won't. Tom was carving his initials in the leg of the kitchen table. Yeah, but it's not Joe's bet. What does he care? Just the same, I bet he'd try something. Billy sat down at the table, turning the sandwich this way and that, looking for the best spot to take his first bite. Your mom got a letter. You and Mom got a letter. Chewing, Billy opened it. So this is it's from Dr. McGrath. And it was written, this was back in 1973. So this is an old book, I guess. Let's see when this book was printed. Yep, 1973. So this is a letter from the doctor to the mom and to the kid that's eating the worms. Dear Mrs. Forrester, I have just made a distressing discovery. And he's got something typed and marked out, and it says, leafing through a medical journal before going up to bed, I noticed an article entitled is spelled wrong. Poisons in the home garden. A subject which necessarily, that's spelled wrong too, so I wonder if this is another joke. It necessarily fascinates me. I glanced through the article. A phrase caught my eye. Lumbricus testracis, a common earthworm. I read on. Miss Forrester, let me assure you, first of all, that there is no cause for undue alarm. However, you will, I am sure, be concerned to learn that especially in the months of July and August, parents must be aware of the common earthworm. Some varieties are known to secrete a substance which, though not malignant to the skin, is sometimes harmful if swallowed. A doctor in New York reports that 10% of boys studied reported no ill effects. 40% reported abdominal cramping, triple vision, and extreme lassitude. Autopsy reports have not yet been received on the remaining 50%, and so no final conclusions can be drawn, but extreme caution is urged since the blackened and pimply faces of these subjects lead one to suspect or worse. This can't be right. This entire letter is written with really bad spelling. All right, so we're going to stop there, and I will see you in the next video.